This is going to be not necessarily a rant, but like open your eyes. I know he plays for Boston Celtics, and you guys do not like the Boston Celtics. I know for some reason or whatever reason it may be, a lot of people don't like Jaylen Brown. But this is not a popularity contest. This is not me being a homer and saying and beating a drum for my guy. Jaylen Brown is the best two-way player in the NBA, hands down, bar none. I don't care who you're talking about. Let's get this party started. Dear Legacy, please excuse my balls. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Please Excuse My Balls, brought to you by Dear Legacy Sports. It's your boy, Kevin B. the Brand, and this is episode 14, y'all. 14 in. And very few has happened, and a lot has happened all at the same time. It's crazy enough to say, but it's the reality. Where am I putting this drink? Mouse, get out the way. Move phone. All right. So we know we're in NBA mode right now, and we live and clocking some of these games. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. We'll discuss it a little bit more, but I ain't too good at this picking game thing when it comes to NBA. I'm not as good as I was when I was in the NFL, because in the NFL I could break down things and just see what's gonna happen, scheduling and who's in, who's out. But the NBA, because maybe it's because there's so much that's happening, it's hard for me to be like, all right, I know this and I know that, because back-to-backs come in play. Who's injured? Who's that? And then there's like 7 games a night. And then it's like, all right, I'm going to condense it and just focus on like 2-3 games. But then that's still about 15 games a week. But cry for me, Argentina. First world problems. It is what it is. We're still going to rock out. But before we rock out and get into the NBA stuff, you know what we got to head first. Let's just jump right into the kickoff and jump into a couple of these headlines. You know it was Olympic season. So in today's kickoff, we're going to start off with the Olympics as they just finished wrapping up. The highlight for me, guys, we talked about this. I'm not big on winter Olympics. I'm not gonna sit here and say I watch. The most that I've watched in the Winter Olympics is I saw a little figure skating when U.S. took gold. That young lady took gold, and then I watched probably 7 minutes of the men's USA Canada gold medal game. That's about the extent of my Winter Olympics goes. I wouldn't even be able to tell you probably maybe I can tell you 5 different events that happened in the World Series. So there's downhill skiing, there's obviously hockey, there's figure skating, there's that speed skating where they're going around but like it's on the ice and they're like going real fast. I think that's what they call it. They call it speed skating. And what else happens out there? And bobsledding. I remember that because the Jamaican have a bobsled team. It's an old movie. Those of you guys that are not over the age of 20, dang, I'm aging myself. If you're not over the age of 30, you probably don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But it's Cool Runnings. Go check it out. So yeah, to the Olympic Games. Team USA men and women beat Canada for the gold medals. That's actually pretty cool to have both countries represented in the final game and then the same outcome in both games. The US men did cut it a little tight there though. It did have to go heroic game, and then in overtime, and they won that one 2-1. You know, you're hearing all this stuff talking about the best team didn't win and yada yada. Listen, I don't know who's the best team, to be honest. But what I do know is USA won. That's it. And that was the first gold medal that they on the men's side that they got since 1980 on the Miracle on Ice. But I can't come to find out that the U.S. team, like we used to do with men's basketball, we never used to send pro athletes before. We would always send like our future stars and the college kids. And then they stopped doing that and like the men's basketball. So, you know, the talking heads on TV will tell you, this win kind of put the rest of the world on notice and put Canada on notice, who apparently has been a dominant team when it comes to world stage hockey. Um, America put the world on notice that the U.S. men's team is here and they're coming. I'm going to be able to tell you if they are here or not here, but congratulations to the men's and women's hockey team for winning a gold medal. Let's top this off right here. Gold medal counts for the top 5 countries. The rest of you guys are gonna have to go and dig into this. A quick Google search and you'll get all the medal counts. But Norway won this Olympic round in Winter Olympics with 41 total medals, with 18 gold, 12 silver, and 11 bronze. Shout out to Norway. USA came in second place with 33 total medals, 12 gold, 12 silver, and 9 bronze medals. Shout out to all those. I feel like the button's far away today. Host Italy came in third place with 30 total medals, with 10 gold, 6 silver, and 14 bronze. Germany came in at fourth with 26 total medals, 8 gold, 10 silver, and 8 bronze. And to round it out, Japan came in with 24 total medals, with 5 gold, 7 silver, and 12 bronze medal. And shout out, those horns was for Japan. And shout out to all the people. I want to make sure I hit the right button. Nope, that's not it. This one right here. Shout out to everybody that participated, all the countries that was there, that was participating in the Winter Olympics. To be an Olympian means a lot. Representing your country means a lot. Not everybody could say that thing. You guys are the 1% of the 1%, right? I put you guys, I mean, it's not in the same caliber, but like to represent your country, like military folks and politicians and people that go overseas to represent different countries, there's very few people that do that. And to say that you worked your whole life, and the Olympics come around every 4 years. It's not something that next year you could come back out there and try it again. You train for 4 years just for about 2 minutes. 2 minutes of except for like hockey and all that other stuff, but like it's 2 to 5 minutes of your life comes down to this, if you're gonna qualify and move on to the next round and all that stuff. So those that didn't medal, just know that you're Olympian for life. Your name was on that roster that represented your country. Those that did not medal, shout out to Haiti, who was out there and they did not medal. But Haiti was represented in the Winter Olympics. You can't snub your nose at that. Like, there was other countries that was out there participating in the Winter Olympics, sending out world-class athletes. Because from me seeing here, I played sports in my life, but I can never say that I was Olympian. There's nothing that I put that much dedication into to say that every 4 years, 5 minutes dictate what 4 years of training did, all my life of training did. You know what I mean? So like, those that didn't medal, those that did medal, obviously those that medal, you did better than most, but don't put your head down if you didn't medal. All right. That's what I got for you guys for the Olympics. It's draft week. When the NFL, the best part about draft week in the NFL, guys, it's not about who's getting drafted. It's not about all the bench presses and all that. Those are great. Those are the metrics that they decide for some reason is going to translate. Then they know the surefires and the not surefires. When Peyton Manning was coming out, they said Ryan Leaf was a surefire thing, and nobody, few teams passed on Peyton Manning. And you're talking about Tom Brady went 199th in the 6th round. We've had star players come out of the 3rd round. Those metrics, they're cool to look at, but it doesn't guarantee anything. Where you get drafted, the coaching that's placed around you, the team that's put around you really dictates a lot of that stuff. Culture dictates it. But what people can't measure when you're talking about the Tom Brady's of the world, all those Richard Shermans that come in and last late round draft picks, those are the ones where it's like you can't measure what's going on between the ears. those things, that the thing that's beaten between your rib cages, there's certain things you could be talented all you want, but that does not mean it's going to translate to becoming the greatest of all time, to becoming one of the best dominated corners in the one of the arguably the top five greatest defenses to come out in the Legion of Boom. You know what I mean? Like, these things happen. You know, Julian Edelman went undrafted to winning the Super Bowl MVP. Kenneth Walker, who just went out, I believe he was an undrafted free agent or low round pick. Like, we don't know who's going to be who. Yes, we have these metrics where you think it's going to happen. Like, Mendoza is a talent, right? But look at the situation that he's going into. It's going to take a while. Yes, he has the right head coach in place. They put in the staff around him, but they got to build a team around him also, right? They got to make the right decisions over these next 2 to 5 years, right? Just keep that in mind when the draft is happening. When you're looking at all these metrics and you're like, "Oh my God, I don't think this guy's gonna be. This guy can't be. He's going to be a bust." Yes, certain busts happen, but you looked at highlight reels through a couple of games that was, oh my God, it's so amazing. And then you go to the draft combine and you could put up some bench presses. Like, I'm going to use them because obviously it's an outlier. At the same time, I'm not saying that there's a Tom Brady in this draft class, but you can't measure a man or a young man that's going to become a man on what he's going to do, his work ethic, his grind, his in between the minds, the thing, that extra oomph that some players just have, that they're not going to give up, like a Julian Edelman who went in as a who was a quarterback, then came into the draft as a wide receiver, to now being arguably one of the best slot receivers that's out there, outside of Wes Welker and some of these other guys. You know what I mean? Like, so draft combine's cool, but for me, it's the stuff that's happening at the draft combine, not necessarily the players that we're seeing on TV. It's the general managers, it's the team owners, it's the deals being made on the sidelines while we're publicly watching. Oh my God, how many reps? How fast is this person? How fast is that person? You, the general managers are making backroom deals right now. They're trading players that are going into a free agency. They're monitoring the salary cap. They got their whole team out there with them to make sure that they're making the best decisions, not just on the prospect, but on the free agents. Then they're looking at the prospects that, okay, this guy right here, he might be slotted at a fourth rounder. Maybe he'll fall into sixth round, or maybe there's so much things that are happening these next 3 to 4 days in Indianapolis. We don't even understand it. Like I said, guys, this is when I geek out. I geek out when the NFL season goes into the off season, because what happens now, this week, last week, with franchise tagging and free agents and all this other stuff, this is what dictates what the product's going to be come September, come late December, because some of the stuff that thought you was gonna do, you did deals on to bring in and all that good job, it didn't work out. Now you gotta wait before the trade deadline, and you're wheeling and dealing. You're waiting until after the preseason's over for roster cut downs from 90 that got to get down to 53. Who moved? So you're watching a lot of different players to see, are they going to fit? And maybe you don't want to use a draft pick on them. You're gonna wait to go undrafted, or let them get picked up by a team and see what they do out there, how they develop and all that. So this is going to be an amazing week. And again, the best part about draft combine week, besides me being geeked out right now, there is on these guys are getting ready to change their lives. Something that they worked, I mean, just like with the Olympians, you worked your whole life to get here. You had the dream, you had the vision, you put in the work, whether you're a first rounder or a sixth rounder on the last day, Mr. Irrelevant, right? You achieving your goals. And even if you don't get drafted, your goals are still attainable. You just got to go work even harder now. And you got to remember, 32 teams passed on you 6 times. Go prove them wrong. But it starts this weekend also. The bench press, the 40-yard dash, the vertical jumps, all that. Does that mean we know what we're getting? No, it's just metrics, guys. It's just stuff to add to the notebook of all the notes and the scout team that's been traveling all these, probably following certain players for like 2-3 years at their programs, and saying like, this is the guy that I'm gonna pound the table for in that war room when it's time to draft, and the third pick, third round, 58th pick. You know what I mean? So shout out to all those that are participating in the draft combine, whether you're going to participate or don't participate because your agents are telling you this and that. You don't want to mess up your draft stock. End of the day, you got to put in the work. The tape has been there, whether it's limited to 15 games or to 38 games. You're 22 years old or on the old side at 28 years old. It doesn't matter. Just go put in the work. Speaking of putting in the work, we got two almost 50-year-olds about to put in the work. It's official. Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, the rematch, September 19th at the Sphere in Las Vegas, streaming on Netflix. This is 11 years after the first match. These two are going to get into the ring one more time. How do I feel about this? I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I watch boxing matches, but I'm not that big boxing guy. I'm not that big MMA guy. Like, I hear of the big names, I see the fights, and I think, hands down, I don't know if he cracks my top 10 of greatest of all time of all sports, but Mayweather is by far one of the greatest athletes to grace the game behind Muhammad Ali, my opinion. Nobody in the boxing world is ever going to pass Muhammad Ali in my opinion. I don't care. Go debate yourself. I said what I said and I meant it. But this right here, you're talking about two gentlemen. If you look at them in the videos and the clips, they take care of their bodies. They're in great shape. Honestly, this match is. I remember when they were both in their primes, everybody was clamoring and hollering and screaming like, that's the match we want, that's the match we want. Whether you believe one camp was ducking another camp and another camp was making excuses to not fight the money and that. We got the match. It was cool. It came down to decisions. Floyd won that one. Manny Pacquiao's camp's going to say, well, he had to hand this situation that was going on. You still fought. You got in the ring. It was cool. We got to see the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather match. And now we'll get the rematch. Guys, that's all I got for it. Like, I don't, there's no true excitement. Am I going to tune in? Yeah. I mean, it's on Netflix. Why not? Is this one of those things where, like, I'm flying down to Vegas to go see? I mean, my wife brought it up and I was like, no. Why? If I'm going to Vegas, it's not for Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. This is September 19th. WNBA is already in full swing. The NFL is getting ready to go into preseason. There's no way in heck I'm spending my hard-earned dollars to go watch Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao fight for the second time. I don't care how much in great shape you guys are. It's still two 48, 49-year-old men getting into the ring. That's going to play the do-si-do, and it's going to come down to decisions. And we know, depending on what happens in that match, I mean, Floyd's going to probably end up winning that one. So at the end of the day, they both win. They're going to get a haul off of this deal. Floyd doesn't get into the ring unless the deal is the deal. You don't call your company the money team for no reason, right? So that's what I got for the headlines for you guys this week out of the kickoffs. Nothing drastic happening. Again, shout out to all the Olympians. Shout out to all the young men that's getting ready to go into the draft combine. And those that love boxing, there's another big name fight that's coming out for you guys. September 19th at the Sphere in Vegas, streaming only on Netflix. It sounded like a commercial, didn't it? Nobody's paying me, guys. I'm just reporting it how I'm reporting it. So let's just jump right over to the King of Sports. This is our NFL segment. I know the NFL is not in season right now, but there are a couple of headlines that I didn't want to touch base on. Kyler Murray is reporting that he is not in talks with the Arizona Cardinals like is reported by the general manager. Are we surprised? No. You're talking about an organization that's ready to move on from a player. Me personally, I don't know maybe it's one of those things where you're trying to move on and see what you could get back in return. Maybe you get a couple of draft picks. Maybe you could swindle a couple of players out of the deal. Um, I think it'll be a good start for Kyler Murray. I don't believe in the Kyler Murray project. Not tearing this young man down. It's just it didn't work out. There's been a lot of players that at their second destination turn things around, right? I'm not saying it again, like I said earlier, when it comes to the draft combine, it depends on situation and fit. I think Kyler Murray was kind of set up pretty good. He had a decent offensive line. He's had wide receivers, like you had D Hop, you have Marvin Harrison Jr., you've had the tight ends, you have weapons out there. For some reason, this young man just could not stay on the field, and it just never turned into fruition of the pick that you was selected at, right? So, we'll see where Kyler Murray goes. It's gonna come down to one or two things at this point of where it's at. I believe that it's gonna go down to either he's traded for whatever they could get for him, or they're gonna have to do what the Atlanta Falcons are doing right now, and they're cutting Kirk Cousins. Me personally, I think Atlanta's doing a crazy thing, especially if you don't know if you're truly sold on Michael Penix Jr. I'm not getting rid of a solid QB, backup quarterback type situation. Yes, you're gonna owe him a lot of money. Go back to Kirk and see if you could restructure that deal and do some type of backroom deal. Like, go into the season before preseason comes around. I don't know the exact numbers that will be due to him if he's on the roster by certain time, because I know they're gonna cut him by March 11th. So for me, in a league right now, that I could honestly say there's about we ran through this, about 7-8 teams that need a quarterback. One of those 7 or 8 teams is going to bring Kirk Cousins in. Like, you don't do yourself an injustice. The Jets, the Minnesota Vikings, who you're saying that maybe they're looking at a Kyle Murray, maybe they're looking at the kid in Green Bay, the Willis, I believe his name is. I'm sorry if it's wrong, but the backup to Jordan Love in Green Bay, he's put on some tape that somebody will want to go to. The backup in the Houston Texans, he's put on some Mills, I believe his name is. Like, there's guys out there, and the belle of the ball right now is Mac Jones. And what can 49ers, the 49ers came out and said that they're not going to move Mac Jones, but you put the right deal in front of any general manager, they're gonna consider it. You know what I mean? You have your guy in Brock Purdy. You might not need to be sitting there waiting to be wheeling and dealing, and you go get Mac Jones and you go bolster up that roster, because you took a roster that was left for dead by all, to include myself, and then you just kept chugging along to the point where you was actually playing for the number one seed. So for me, it's like, why not, if you can get some type of a haul for Mac Jones for one of these quarterback needy teams? I might move on from him, or if I'm one of these teams, I'm waiting to see who snatches up Kirk Cousins first, because that's the name that I'm watching out for. What can we get Kirk Cousins to come into the door and come be a solid quarterback, bridge quarterback, or situation where I need to create a competition in my house so that Kirk Cousins could push my young guy, or see if my guy is ready to actually step up. And if not, then you have a solid quarterback. I mean, I honestly don't know why Atlanta wants to get rid of Kirk Cousins so bad. Um, it obviously, I know why. It's obviously the contract. They're not trying to be on the hook for that contract. But I mean, it is what it is. We'll see how that plays out. Um, the Patriots senior VP, it says that um our guy Campbell struggles was due to a knee injury, not because of all the reports of having short arms, and that's why he was struggling. Not for nothing. I never played offensive line. I've never even had to go against offensive linemen. My job as a DB and linebacker, at by the time I lost my steps, I'm stunting off of a lineman. I'm coming in free and clear. So I don't know what this whole short arms thing is. Um, Maybe because the shorter the arms, they're closer to your body. A good swim move, they're going right by. We go through all the swim move motions and all that stuff. But I mean, I had to sit there and take the Super Bowl and the playoff run out of my mind and remember, what did he look like before he went out? And to be honest, he was not struggling the way he did in that playoff run. Since he was back in the lineup, you do notice that's when the decline started happening. But at the same time, you're on the field. So people are gonna say what they want to say. When it comes to Campbell, we talked about this already. You got to go into that weight room. You got to go get your mind, your body healthy and ready to go next season, because Braves and the team, they're committed to you. They're committed to you for whichever reason it may be, right, wrong, or indifferent. You're their guy. So go prove everybody else, to include myself, that's saying, hey, we need to bolster up that left side. When I say bolster it up, it doesn't mean you gotta go, but I'm at least opening it up for competition. When I see somebody struggle for the way that left side of the line struggled in this postseason, and you're looking at the way our defense played, did we have a fighting chance? I believe we did, but I'll never know because it was just so horrific on that left side. And then it made me wonder, and I said it screaming to the TV and to my wife and to anybody in the group chats. I'm like, how bad is the backups that we're still going to allow this to keep happening? But anyways, let's get off of that. Last bit of news to the NFL segment is obviously as a homer type news for me. Two big name free agents have been tied to the New England Patriots for whatever reason. One being a former player of Mike Vrabel in AJ Brown, and then you got Max Crosby, that has said and not said that he would love to play for Mike Vrabel, but then says that he wants to stay with the Raiders organization. Max Crosby is doing what he's supposed to do as a leader and technically the face of a franchise, because they don't have no other faces of the franchise. He is that dude in Las Vegas. You're not gonna force it publicly. I don't know what he's saying behind the scenes. All I could say is take him for his word. The man is still working out. He's in shape, but the man also did say he would love to play for Mike Vrabel. AJ Brown just recently did a pod with Julian Edelman and Gronkowski on Dudes on Dudes, and they talked and they flat out asked him. He didn't say yes he's gonna be a Patriot, but I'm pretty sure if he has his choice in the matter, he might be coming to reunite with Mike Vrabel, his first coach, and in New England. For me as a Patriot fan, I don't know how we pull both this off. You're talking about both players need to be traded in order for them to come to New England. We're talking about Max Crosby's at least a couple first rounders, maybe a player or two to get that deal done, or maybe our guy Tom gives us a friends and family discount where it's like a one and a couple of twos and some players as they're rebuilding over there in Las Vegas. I see this more feasible than well, they both are kind of feasible. I think AJ Brown and the Philadelphia Eagles, I think they're parting ways. Not necessarily saying that he's going to be a New England Patriot. I just think that the experiment after 4 years, I think they just want to go their own separate ways. It worked. They won a championship. They was very competitive, but you've seen the something, just when we've been saying this since last season when we first came on, and we've been talking about on Please Excuse My Balls and other networks and on social medias and all that stuff. It just didn't look right in Philadelphia. And you're talking about New England Patriots. These two, if you're able to get one of the two or both, you're fixing or addressing two major issues that you had, that we all seen, right? We didn't have that big playability wide receiver that was a threat to make defenses want to back off and now allow our running game to be there. You bring AJ Brown in, that changes that whole offense around, that automatically. You're talking about, it makes Trevion Henderson better. It makes our quarterback better. It makes Stephon Diggs gets better. Our tight ends get better. It's like it changes the outcome of the game with that caliber of a player on the outside. Then when you talk about on the defense side of the ball, you're adding Max Crosby to a defense that was already top 5 defense. going into the playoffs. And if we're able to bring in Chasey on also on top of it, now you're talking about you have a 1-2 punch coming off both the outsides. So that means Milton and Baltimore, they're eating one-on-one matches in the middle. And then we could do our exotic stunts with Harold, Landry, and all these other guys. And we still got our shutdown corners on the outside. And we got smart safeties. Granted, we have a lot of these guys are free agents. Now, if you go and get a Crosby, if we get one or two of these players on a team-friendly deal, because we about to pay Gonzo. You lock up Gonzo right now before it gets more expensive when it's time. You pick up his 5th-year option, you do that extension, and you have your pillar on the defensive side of the ball before we got to go pay our quarterback. I'm not gonna stay too much intensive to that because we know it's not NFL season. We got a lot to cover in the NBA. We got a lot to cover going into NCAA as they start to wind down this regular season. And of course, let's just jump into the hunt, y'all. In the hunt, this is where we cover Major League Baseball, and the longest season of them all is begun, guys. We're in spring ball right now with Major League Baseball. Sure, it's spring ball, guys. The season alone has 182 games. I think spring ball has an additional 20 games or something. So you're talking about 200 games. 200 games for a season, bro. Why? Why do we need such a long ass season? This thing is literally, I think spring ball kicked off 2 weeks ago down in these warm states. So that's February. These guys are going to play until October. Like, why do we need to do this? It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know how you think you're going to retain attention spans of all these people, because it does not matter if you lose 30 games, you could still end up in the playoffs. You could still end up in the World Series. This shit's baffling to me. But whatever. They started. They're doing it. The Red Sox are 2-2 in the Grapefruit League. Nothing to write home about. Check me in June when the NBA's done. WNBA's starting to do their thing, and there's gaps with nothing else going on because around then there's no majors happening in golf. So you kind of paying attention to baseball before the football league kicks off, and then the baseball goes back to irrelevancy until the playoffs begin. Unless you play in one of these major markets like the Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, Chicago's, and them. Other than that, I mean, honestly, we all know who's going to be in the World Series. We know the Dodgers are going to be there. And then you just got to figure out who's going to come out in the AL. Is the highest payroll in baseball on the Yankee side, or is it going to be a surprise team? Either way, you're probably playing for second place at this point, so long as the Dodgers stay healthy. But they got such a deep-ass roster that they could lose 3 starting pitchers and be perfectly fine because they got every freaking pitcher. They got all the major bats. Like, it is what it is. I'm still rooting and holding my breath to see if they'll actually put a salary cap, to see if things will change in Major League Baseball, because you already have this long ass freaking season. Make it interesting. Let's put a salary cap on it. Let's see who could actually put teams together, not just buy up every freaking player, because you could afford it and you could do it. There's no penalties like an NBA where if like you go over the salary cap, you're paying one guy $300 million. That is a salary cap for the NBA. The NFL, I don't know what the cap is this season, but you're talking about like one player is making what an entire salary cap is for an organization in 2 different sports. Makes no sense. But that's all I got for you in the hunt. Let's jump to Beyond the Lines. Beyond the Lines is where we cover our game of golf, tennis, and etc. There's really not that much etc, guys. I think in etc, if we wanted to, we could have fit the boxing in this one or whatever the case may be. But most of my etc is going to be in the opening segments to get them out the way. PGA, LPGA. Let's see what we got here. Bridgman wins the Genesis Invitational at -18 with Rory on his heels by 1 stroke. Pause. That was actually, the invitation was actually pretty good. I really thought Rory was going to come back on that one and make it, push it for a playoff. But, you know, in the game of golf, you win some, you lose some. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Rory tied for second place and made $1.8 million on this one. Bridgman brought home victory and $4 million. Um, and on the LPGA side, Gino, I'm sorry, Fit Cool wins the Honda LPGA Thailand this past weekend. And this week the men play on the Consant Classic in Palms Beach, and the women play in the HSBC Women's World Championship. TGL is in full swing. The Atlanta team, they won one and lost one. They did a double header this past weekend. That league is getting ready to start wrapping up in itself. No major news going on in the world of tennis. And that's what I got for you guys for Beyond the Lines. We're just cruising through this. We're cruising through this. I want to cruise through it because we got a lot to cover in NBA. And NCAA is starting to get live, y'all. Oh boy, oh boy. It's time to jump into Campus Legends. Now it's starting to get interesting, guys. This is when it starts to get live. We last week of February, and you know March Madness around the corner. When March Madness around the corner, every game starts to feel like a bowling ball on some of these players and teams' backs on both the women and the men's side, right? March Madness is about to begin, right? You got on the men's side, number 14 Kansas handed number 3 Houston their third straight loss in a row. Third straight loss in a row. This is not the point in the season where you want to start racking up losses, right? Because seeding is gonna matter when Selection Sunday comes around. Number 3 Duke shots number 1 Michigan, and we're talking. These are just like glaring, like in your face. Like when we're gonna cover Campus Legends when it comes to NCAA before we get to March Madness, I'm only going to pay attention to the people that are losing when they're not supposed to be losing, because these games are going to matter. When it comes to seeding, it's going to dictate who's going to be in your pathway to get to that Final Four, who's in your pathway to get to that championship. And some people might end up with a good pathway. That's how we end up with nice Cinderella stories. But what really matters about Cinderella stories is, like I told you guys, it's all in one and you're done. And when I'm looking at some of these teams that are starting to rack up these bad habits right now, a few weeks before Selection Sunday comes and the madness really begins, I'm looking at 14 Kansas taking down number 3 Houston. If we're in March, that's it. Houston, great season. Now you're done. You're going home. Finito. Kansas moves on. 3 knocking out number 1, that's a Final Four matchup situation we're looking at right here. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is for sure not baseball. It's for sure not the NBA and traditional basketball where it's like, man, we go down 0-2, but we still win a series. We go down 3-1, but you still come back and win the whole thing. No, baby. You lose that game, your season's done. You had a hell of a ride. Congratulations. Pat on the back. Some of you going off into the NBA draft. Some of you are going to return back because NIL allows you to still keep making good money while you're in school, and you're going to chase that championship because some players, I do believe, would love to win at all levels that they've been at. Some of these guys that are playing for these D1 schools, they were the man in high school. They won championships. They won AAU tournaments. Then they on the college level, they're like, man, I would love to add that to my belt before I even make it to the NBA. Because when it comes to the NBA, it's no longer my choice, right? I get drafted where I get drafted at. Unless I don't get drafted, then I get to play around to see what team I could make it onto and see what you don't really get a choice till after that first, maybe second contract. And you know what I mean? So guys, some of you guys are losing some games that you don't belong. You should not be losing. Selection Sunday is 19 days away for both the men's and women's. 19 days. A lot of these teams got roughly about 3 games of the regular season. Then you go into your championship, your tournament championship games, and then that's it. Sunday, March 15th is Selection Sunday. And that's where they're going to lay out the brackets. That's where you're going to see who's going to be in your pathway. Did you create bad habits at the closeout of the season to where you're what will be seemingly upsets later on? Unranked teams going and beat top ranked teams, Miami, Ohio. You're still undefeated, 27-0 with 3 games remaining. Are you going to finish the season on top? Are you going to win your conference? And right now, I believe they have you ranked. We'll talk about it later on, but I'm pretty sure they're ranked in the low 20s right now. But you're making the dance at this point. Are you going to be the one to go make some upset, or was it just a cute story going out throughout the season? On the women's side, you got Gino, my guy, UConn Huskies head coach, record 655th appearance on the AP Top 25. Still undefeated on the women's side. UCLA women's first outright league title. South Carolina women's at minimum will win the SEC title for the 10th time and can win it outright with a game against a win against Missouri this weekend. Clemson upsets number 9 Duke, snapping a 17-game win streak. These are not the times we want to be doing these things. This is a time where we want to be refining and doubling down on some of our fundamentals, getting ready for March Madness. Because, guys, March Madness, you only get the 2 quarters or the 4th quarters if you're on the women's side. That's it. You get that, you win, you move on. You lose, pack your bags. Hopefully it's not a long trip. So let's run into these scores. Not too many upsets happening on the women's side, but on the men's side, oh my goodness. It started off on Tuesday. Unranked Iowa beats number 9 Nebraska 57-52. Arizona beats number 13 Texas Tech 72-67. SMU unranked beats number 21 Louisville 95-85. Ohio State beats up on number 24 Wisconsin 86-69. 4 upsets. This would have been considered upsets if we're talking about March Madness. Then you jump into Wednesday. Number 5 UConn allows Creighton to beat them at home 91-84. What are you doing, my guys? You're my team. You're my home team. I don't root for BC Eagles. I root for the UConn Huskies, men and women. That's where I'm at. That's home. Like, what are we doing right now? Missouri stuns number 19 Vanderbilt 81-80. On the women's side, one upset that happened on Wednesday night. Number 23 Minnesota wins over number 10 Ohio State 74-61. Thursdays we had no games. Friday was nothing to report. Saturday comes in. Oh my God. This is where we start talking about March Madness stuff. This would have been a Final Four matchup, depending on where they fall on the brackets. Number 3 Duke takes down number 1 Michigan 68-63. You're talking about you're going to the finals, Duke. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Michigan, you just got the number 1 spot. You're already relinquishing that. Number 4 Arizona beats number 2 Houston 73-66 convincingly. You know what I mean? These ain't no squeak by games. Number 23 BYU takes down number 6 Iowa State. I remember a few weeks back I was saying how BYU has not beaten those top 10 ranked teams. They're beating all the teams that they're supposed to be beating. It looks good, but you're not beating the top quality teams. Well, there they go. They take down Iowa State. That was number 6 at the time. BYU is one of those teams. They got the talent. They got the talent. And I'm pretty sure Nebraska wants to make some noise in that March Madness. Continue on trending on Saturday. Number 8 Kansas goes down to unranked Cincinnati, 84-68. That's not a squeak by loss. They beat you. UCLA sneaks by number 10 Illinois in overtime, 95-94. Number 19 Vanderbilt loses again, falling short to Tennessee, 69-65. On the women's side, Colorado beats number 20 Texas Tech, 75-68. That one's more of an upset for me because on the women's side, it goes how it goes. Your seeding says that's what you're going to do. It's very rare that, these lower seeds or unranked seeds are beating these top teams. When you're AP ranked on the women's side, I feel as though it's damn near guaranteed that you're going to win those games. You might stumble a 4 and a 5, a 7 and a 12. It's not going to shake up anything really, but come on now. On Sunday, featured all top 10 teams on the women's side playing, winning in dominating fashion, all but number 6 Michigan losing to number 13 Iowa convincingly, 62-44. That's a beatdown. Virginia squeaks past number 8 Louisville 74-72, and Clemson, like I said earlier, stunning number 9 Duke 53-51. We already talked about this before on Monday night. Number 14 Kansas beats number 5 Houston for their third straight loss, 69-56. You know what I mean? And let's look at these ranking situations. Let's go to the men's side. What are the rankings looking like right now? On the ranking side, I'm gonna give you the top 5 teams right now. You got Duke at number 1, 25-2. Arizona at number 2, 25-2. They both moved up 2 spots. Michigan is now number 3, dropping down 2 slots at 25-2 after their loss. Iowa State moves up by 2, going to 23-4 even after the loss. Houston drops down to 5, 23-4. They drop down 3. And my UConn Huskies drop down to number 6, dropping down 1 at 25-3. Kansas, they still got Kansas pretty low. They still got Kansas at 14. But we'll see. New rankings will come out soon after this week. So we'll see how these stick around to see if they stay the same. I'm pretty sure Kansas will move up a little bit. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's go over to the women's side. The women's side shouldn't be that much going on. We know what it is. My UConn Husky girls, they're 29-0 at number 1. UCLA is now at number 2 at 27-1. South Carolina is sitting steady at number 3, 27-2. Texas at number 4, 26-3, and Vanderbilt is at number 5 at 25-3. My UConn Huskies are the only remaining undefeated team at the top, and I didn't see Miami, Ohio is the only undefeated team at number 21. They went up 1 spot at 27-0. So yeah, that's what I got for you guys on Campus Legends. We're gonna blink and March Madness is gonna be here. Everybody's gonna be filling out their brackets just for it to get blown up in the first day. I think every year they're going to start seeing, you see millions of brackets get done. And then as each day goes by, it drops. And I don't even remember if there was ever a perfect bracket, but I wonder how many brackets those people fill out. That's the question I always ask. Cause I know for me, I fill out about like 3 or 4 brackets. Because I have like the one that I actually believe in. Then I have the one where it has like all the top seeds winning. Then I have the one that has like a lot of upsets happening. But when it comes to March Madness, man, like you see in a regular season, you have one bad night, it's over. Brackets done, finished, busted, So let's jump over to On Ice. This is our NHL segment. Players for the Olympics are starting to come back home and start playing for their teams. Meanwhile, the Bruins are still holding on to the second wildcard spot at 32-10-5 with 69 points. Sure. Guys, I don't know hockey. I can just tell you what the Bruins are doing. They're holding on to the wild card spot. I don't know if the Bruins are good or bad. I'm going to have to check in with one of my hockey people to kind of really break it down for me, because I'm just going to keep just giving you updates on that. It's a nice little filler before we go on to Court Vision, which is where we cover the NBA and WNBA. Lots to talk about, y'all. Let's start with the headlines. The Unrivaled League is getting ready to kick off their playoffs. All the 6 teams are set right now. Starting at number 6, Vinyl making the playoffs. Number 5, the Rose team is coming in. At number 4, you got the Breeze team. At number 3, you got the Laces. At number 2, you got the Mist. And at number 1, you have the Phantom. Playoffs set to start this weekend, February 28th. In the first round being held down in Miami. The first game's at 8:30 p.m. and the second game's at 9:45 p.m. And the semifinals are going to actually move from Miami because most of the games are held in Miami for the league. But they're moving the semifinal games to Brooklyn, March 2nd. One game being at 7:30 and one at 8:45. I might have to make a drive out there or a quick flight. Playing in Brooklyn. It depends who's playing though. I don't want to go and I don't like the teams that are playing. It's going to be at the Barclays, but there's the Unrivaled League, the 3-on-3 tournament. We'll see what happens. If I go, guys, I'll let you know. The WNBA sets a deadline to keep the 26th season on schedule. March 10th is the deadline. I am begging and pleading that everybody, please, we're already like in a wonky period where like free agency time block has already like moved. So like we're going to be like rushing, and I'm pretty sure the teams and organizations already have like all their marching orders. The moment that they can, they're going to start talking with the players because the draft is coming up. Once March Madness is over on the women's side, they go straight into draft mode. and they start building out their teams. And you know, a lot of my UConn girls are number one seed to go into the Dallas team again, Dallas Wings. It's gonna get another one of my UConn girls. That's gonna be UConn and UConn South, pretty much. At this point, they're gonna have what, three UConn girls that are starting over there. But yeah, you guys know I'm really rooting for this WNBA to get their stuff together, to keep the season intact, as long as it's fair and equitable for majority of both sides. You know, I'm just trying to get down to Vegas for the real reason. I'm not going flying to Vegas to no Spear to watch Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. I'm not going out there to go see the Las Vegas Raiders. Unless they're playing the Patriots, it's a good time to go. But y'all know me. I'm trying to go see the newest member of my top 10 greatest of all time athletes across all sports, Asia Wilson. Come on now. I'm trying to go see that banner reveal. Don't mess on my girls' parade. We're trying to go out there and see her put another banner in those Raptors. All right. That's what I got for you guys for the banners. That's what I got for you guys for headlines in Court Vision. And we're going to jump right into the scores rundown. Oh my God. I don't even want to talk about score rundowns, to be completely honest. God, I suck. It's demoralizing when I go back and I'm watching some of these games and I'm like, wait, who did I fucking pick again? And then I start thinking, I'm like, why did I pick this team? And then I'm like, I know why I picked this team. This team is supposed to freaking win, but for some reason, I can't figure it out. The bouncing balls does not do what it's supposed to do to get into the nets the way that I needed to go, because last week I went 5-8 on my picks. Overall, now I am a bottom feeder at 25-43. I don't even know. That is almost 20 games below 500. 20 games below 500. Adam Silver right now is trying to implicate new rules to stop tanking. He would put those rules and sanctions against me at this point at 25-43. It looks like I'm tanking, but I'm not, guys. I legitimately am not tanking. I legitimately think these teams should be winning some of these games, and they're just not doing it. I sit here and I talk about, the Knicks is the best team in the East. This is their season, especially with no Jason Tatum. You are the front runners to win this thing, because I didn't believe in the then Cavs with Garland. I'm more of a believer with them with Harden now on him. Detroit, I did not see that happening. Maybe they would have been a top 6 team, but going into this, I always believed that the Celtics were still going to be a top 4 team, but I thought the Eastern Conference was going to look something like the New York Knicks at number 1, the Cleveland Cavaliers at number 2, the Philadelphia Sixers at number 3, the Boston Celtics, or maybe the Orlando Magic at 4, and whoever is not 4, they're at 5, and then the Detroit Pistons, because I like what they did last season. They showed me some. Maybe they're the top 6, and then the rest will fall in how they fall in. That's how I seen it. Did I see Detroit being the number 1 team in the East, and the New York Knicks just keep going back and forth with trying to take positioning? And I'm like, what are y'all doing over there? And then y'all go and make, I like the Alvarado piece of the thing when you guys did the trade deadline. It wasn't like y'all sat pat and y'all said, you know what, we still need to tweak this thing. Let's go do this. And I like that little motor that Alvarado works. He's going to be annoying, especially when it comes to playoff times. But then I watch your last few games and I'm like, what in the hell are y'all doing? Y'all just good with being with Eastern Conference or second round. Because right now, I know what I reported last week, but spoiler alert, before I tell you my new pick for the NBA Finals, it ain't the goddamn Knicks. It ain't them. I am with Stephen A, and I believe that the Knicks are never going to get this done. You're hearing all the rumors about a Jason Tatum potentially coming back this season. You're watching what Boston's doing. You're watching what Detroit's doing. Cleveland goes out and gets Harden. They're like, no, we can't stay packed. They go get, for me, Cleveland got better with their trades that they made. My opinion, they're definitely locked in for a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference at this point. And whoever they match up with, they can go far. Now I'm looking at the Knicks. I'm like, how dare I? How dare I swallow my pride and put you fools? Excuse me, y'all not fools. I'm not gonna disrespect these men. How dare I, as a Bostonian, fix my lips to say the New York Knicks are a better team, knowing that my team is still in the hunt, knowing that I got Jaylen Brown, knowing I got Crazy Joe leading the way, I got Payne Pritchard, Sam Hauser, but I'm like, you know what? Them Knicks, I seen what they did last season. I liked what they did with their bench play. I liked the move that they made at the trade deadline. Mike Brown, yeah, he ain't no Thibodeau, but he know how to coach. He's a championship coach. I'm like, oh, this is gonna happen for the Knicks. But the Knicks, you remind me of Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. I keep saying, if not now, when? I got the answer for you. Never. It ain't never happening. Nope. Goodbye. God bless. Because I'm looking at Detroit. This ain't no fluke. I don't see them going far. I don't see them representing the Eastern Conference because of what I seen in a couple of the games and how you could scheme against them. And when you got to buckle down for one team for a 7-game series, because this ain't March Madness. You could go down 0-2 and come back and win the whole thing. Detroit, you was a pesky team last year, but losing Dennis Schroeder, and now Dennis Schroeder's out here playing on the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's a swing. That's a swing for me. And then I'm looking at the New York Knicks. It's like, if not now, when? I'm not asking that question no more. Never. You're gonna be a cool ass regular season game, and as long as you're relying on Cat, who, my opinion, does not play big man ball when he has to go against big man. You got big body Brunson. That's like your saving hope, but it's gonna tire out at some point. Let's run through these games. I want to do a whole rant, but let's run through these games. Thursday night games. The Pistons beat down on the Knicks. 126-111. I'm not even gonna give you no rant right now. I sat there and watched this game. This to me was a marquee game. You're like, the number one team is coming to my house. You're coming to me in the Mecca, the Garden, and you get your ass handed to you. Cade Cunningham was playing with y'all, and they didn't even have Isaiah Stewart playing. They played with y'all and showed you who's really running this East joint right now until Jason Tatum come back. Until the Cleveland Cavaliers, who's surging. Y'all get beat down at home. 126-111. Whatever. I can't want it more for you people out there. I'm sitting here like, damn, I actually gotta take my fan hat off and really report what I'm seeing. But what I'm seeing right now, you're not it. You're not it. Moving on. Celtics went over the Warriors 121-110 as they continue their road trip out west. I mean, there's a team that's it right there. You leave a team for dead and they're now number 2 in the East. Been playing at number 2, number 3. You're supposed to be that team that's going to represent the East in a wide open Eastern Conference. But yet you can't even take care of business consecutively. Do you have some marquee wins? Yeah, you beat the Celtics. Congratulations. You beat the Celtics and turn around and get mollywopped by the Pistons. Then you turn around and get mollywopped by another team. Moving on. Nuggets lose to the Clippers 114-115. That was a nail biter. Yeah, that game could have went in any direction. I like what I seen out of those two teams. I'm still high on the Nuggets with the Joker, and even though he's not the most consistent player, as long as Murray's healthy, him and the Joker is gonna be a problem. They didn't do much at the trade deadline, so we'll see. They believe in that team that they got as constructed. They still keep winning. You guys remember when Joker went down for 2 weeks? I thought they was going to slide out of the top 7, out of the top 6, and end up in the play-in tournament. Them boys did not move. They stayed at 3 the whole time, and then Joker came back. So losing to the Clippers, I don't see anything wrong with that, even if it was flipped. If the Clippers had won, I like the Clippers. I think the Clippers is one of those teams, even if they're in the play-in tournament, you don't want to see the extra games on Kawhi because you can't bubble wrap them. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you can't bubble wrap them, you don't want to be putting extra games in that you don't need to have. Um, so we'll see how the Clippers keep going. I'm just glad that they're actually in this, because I was looking very foolish with them sitting at the last place of the Western Conference. Moving on from that, you got the Cavs beat on the Hornets 118 to 113. Most people are gonna say that was in a marquee game, but as hot as the Hornets have been playing, and they're now in the play-in tournament, I don't know if you're a team out there, if you're one of those top six teams, or the number one team, or the number two team, like the Pistons or the Celtics. I'm not playing around with these damn Hornets. All right. Them Hornets are the type of people that'll come into your house in the first round and put you down 0-2. And now you got to go down there and win 2 games in a row. Now these top teams that I'm talking about, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Boston Celtics, the Detroit Pistons, and even the weirdo New York Knicks that can't get right, they would still be able to come out of that hole. But you're dragging out a 7-game series with a team that should not be hanging around with you. So that Hornets team is going to be a sneaky team if they stay in this tournament. And then for Battle for LA, the Lakers win that one over the Los Angeles Clippers 125 to 122. Moving on to the Saturday games, I had only one listed on here that I wanted to dial in on. It was the Knicks versus the Rockets. And this one, this is my problem that I have with the New York freaking Knicks. You go and get your ass mollywopped, and as expected, your next time out, you better show up and show out. But then you go down 18. Now I'm saying, I'm not going to lie to you guys. They go down 18, I'm not paying any attention no more. I'm getting ready to go on another freaking rant, because you're about to lose two marquee games back to back. But for some reason, somehow, you do what you did, and you show me who you was from last season. You came down in the fourth quarter, down 18 in the fourth quarter, and you come back to win that game 108 to 106. Why can't we get a consistent Knicks team like this? That's the thing. I'm not saying that you can't lose. Losing comes with the territory. The Celtics lose. Detroit Pistons lose. The Nuggets lose. The OKC Thunder lose. The San Antonio Spurs lose. But you know what's the difference between those teams that I just listed? They're consistent. They're consistent. They're going to string together 3-4 games where they're just beating the teams that they're supposed to be beating. And when it comes to a marquee game, they're going to show up and show out. Even if they lose, they're losing competitively. They're not getting mollywopped, especially at their house. That's the difference. Why can't I get this New York Knicks team? Not the one that goes down 18 points, but the one that stays scrappy and they come back and win. You showed me that last season. You irked my damn nerves last season, to the point where I'm like, yo, no Jason Tatum? Cleveland Cavaliers, you came into this thing wonky? Knicks, it's you. It's your turn, go. But then I get situations where you just can't get right. Cat screaming at referees, not getting into foul trouble, messing up the rotations, not being able to set up Brunson properly. Shooters are not shooting. Moving on. Let's go to the Sunday games. Sunday game started off with the Thunder and the Cavs win streak at 7, beating them 121 and 113. You know the crazy thing about this one? Yeah, the Cavs lost. They ended a 7-game streak. But since the trade, the Cavs has played 8 games of this since the trade. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's about 8 games. They go on a 7-game win streak before losing to OKC Thunder, and Garland has yet to play for the Clippers. This was the problem for me that I saw with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell runs out of the gas because he has to do a whole lot more, because his sidekick or his number 2 or his 1A, whatever, however the frick you want to label this thing, let's be completely honest. Mitchell is here. Garland is here. Garland is a star by right, but he's not on Mitchell's level. You can't stay on the freaking court, thus putting extra mileage on Donovan Mitchell. He has to work a whole lot harder. Then he gets injured as well, right? Everybody's like, oh my God, you go and trade a player that's 10 years older. I know what the fuck I'm getting out of Harden. Harden's going to give me 1 or 2 games in a series. Harden's going to give me the step back 3 assassin Harden. where I know I could go win a couple games with him. I don't know what the hell I'm going to get out of Garland, and clearly we could see this. 8 games since the trade. The Cavs have won 7. You have not even played 1 game yet. For a team that needs every win that they could possibly get, you on the bench, clapping, doing this. I could do that. Somebody give me $100,000. I'll sit on the bench and clap for y'all. Give me some season tickets, especially when the Celtics come home. I'll clap for you all day, every day. Come on now. Moving on. Warriors beat the Nuggets 128-117, even with the Joker dropping a triple-double in that game. The Warriors team, they're a scrappy championship team. As long as you got Draymond, as long as you got Steph, you can't count out the Warriors. I don't care what anybody says. I watch with my own 2 mother-loving eyes. We had the best freaking team. We was up. We had the coaching. We had everything that we needed to do. And here comes these jokers. And they danced on our court. I sat there and I watched them dance on our court. And what was supposed to be our championship trophy, nope. The Warriors have that thing. They have Draymond and they have Steph. As long as you put a team around them, the Warriors will have a chance. I don't care about their age. I don't care about what little nagging injury is going to have. As long as you got that babyface assassin and that enforcer in the middle, I'm never going to write off the Warriors. It's a good signature win. Now, what is KP going to do for them? You know, KP is still one of those Mr. Unreliables, but when he's in there, he's a cheat code. You know what I mean? I couldn't even name. You got Podziemski. Podziemski's still trying to figure out his way. How does he fit in with Steph and all them? I don't want to write off the Warriors because of Steph and Draymond, but I kind of got to write off the Warriors outside of Steph and Draymond because I don't know. Al is a system guy that fits. He's going to give you fundamentally sound ball. But even when he played for us, you get frustrated with Al because all we got to do is put you in drop coverage, and we know we eating at that point. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna beat too much on it. Again, I'm still not writing off the Warriors. They're a playing team, and with their type of caliber, they could sneak into the tournament. So yeah, Sunday night games. Then we led with the rivalry game on Pat Riley's statue night. The Celtics are playing the Lakers, and Pat Riley has this big old rallying speech. Now let's go beat the shit out of those Celtics. Well, joke's on you, playboy, because we beat the shit out of you. 111-89, it wasn't even respectable. It was downright disgusting. They took, what JB saying? We took a belt to that ass, boy. You know what I mean? Like, all the way to the point where LeBron James had to even make sure to make it a point. Like, he doesn't understand why JB's name is not being mentioned more in the MVP talks. Well, here in Boston, we know why, because he played for Boston and he's JB. Y'all don't like JB, but who cares? Because the proof is going to be in the pudding. The numbers don't lie. You're going to change the scoreboard. You're going to give it to the guy that you like it. Like LeBron said, it's a popularity contest. JB don't care about that anyways. It would be great to have, but I'm pretty sure JB's trying to make sure that he's bringing another gold Larry O home. He's trying to make sure that his number 7 is definitely, even though it's already up there, number 7 and number 0 is going into the Raptors. But he's trying to make sure that he stays locked in those Raptors. You know what I mean? Like, Paul only got 1. And I know JB and JT thinks about that. Let's get 2, if not more. You know what I mean? The greatest of Celtics have multiple championships. KG Paul Rondo and the one that we don't name and Doc, they got 1. Let's beat that team. Let's move on. 76ers win convincingly over the Wolves 135-108. The Blazers beat the Suns 92-77. The Magic beat the Clippers 111-109. And going into the Monday games, the Spurs take care of the East leading Pistons 114-110. Quick pause here on this one. What I saw in that game was, one, my pick for the San Antonio Spurs to represent the West, it looks more and more believable. Because I just think as long as that team stays healthy, and by that team I really mean Wemby. Wemby is a cheat code for that team. I like Fox. I like Castle. I like everything about San Antonio, and they lead off of defense first. They got big guards and wing players that could defend at all across, and then you got Wemby that could do what he's doing in the middle, and then he's chasing down blocks. And on offense, you any given night, I've seen these things. The Boston Celtics was just running and operating like that. We leading off of defense, and we're gonna bludgeon you to death with 3 pointers. And the moment you try to run us off the line, we're just gonna keep carving you on the center. And then we're gonna play the alley oop game. And like, how do you stop a team like this? They can be beat. Don't get it twisted. They can be beat. They're fairly young with a lot. I mean, De'Aaron Fox, he's played in the playoffs, but he doesn't have no outside of Barnes. He's the only championship player on that team that I know of. Um, yeah, and when I watched that game, although it was close, 114 to 110, I see and I realize what I know. And I did my lucky seven list last week, and I had Detroit, the East leading team. I think I had them at like number 5 or 6. I had them at 5 or 6 because although they're having a great season, although Cade Cunningham is putting up MVP numbers, not better than Jaylen Brown, that's for sure. But that's a conversation for later on in the show. Although all that is happening, I still know that the Detroit Pistons, as constructed, can be beat by the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers. And this is just in the Eastern Conference that's supposedly wide open. And then when you go out west, I don't see you matching up well with any of those teams. Any of those teams out west, to include the 4 teams in the East that I just mentioned. And the only reason why I say that is because when it's time to lock down, JB Bickerstaff is an amazing coach. He has that team playing to their highest of ability right now, right? But at the same time, when it's time to lock down for a 7-game series, JB Bickerstaff, no matter how much he gets you prepared, there's deficiencies in Detroit, and we saw it in that game. The inability to have a second scoring threat. All we have to do is blitz Cade Cunningham. I'm gonna blitz you nonstop. I'm picking you up at 90 feet. And now, don't get it twisted. Cunningham can get to his bag. He's going to get his scoring. He's going to, but at the same time, it's like the team around him, they have to bring their level up to A game in a 7-game series for 4 games. And I just don't see that happening. They don't have enough shooting around Cade that you have to be threatened by it. You got big men in the middle in Durham and Stewart that's gonna get you some extra boards, but we're not really thinking about them as offensive threats in the middle. You know what I mean? And not to mention, there are no threats on the outside. So all I got to do is when you're talking about the New York Knicks, when you're talking about the Boston Celtics, when you're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, I have big men that could stretch you out. And then I got a secondary big man that could still sit at the rim. So if I'm stretching your bigs out, that lane is wide open for me. You know what I mean? And I'm blitzing Cade. By the time we get to the fourth quarter, that man, I don't know what your physical abilities are, but at some point when you got these big body guards that could just be getting thrown at you, that the Knicks have, that the Cavs have, well, not necessarily the Cavs, because they're not that defensive ready unless you're doing a different type of lineup where you're bringing out Shorter and Ellis to go next to Donovan Mitchell. Now we're talking about a defensive roster right there, and you let Donovan Mitchell cook at that point with Jared Allen and the rest of the crew. But I say all this to say this: Detroit's going to have to scheme their way out of certain series, but some of these other teams, and when you get to the second round, and eventually if you make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, it's going to be tough sledding because you don't have that number 2 option, because you don't have no true threats on the outside and shooting, and because your bigs are not that much of a threat to some of these other bigs. You're talking about Cat Williams. I'm gonna pull Stewart or Duran out of that hole all day, every day. So you got to respect Cat's shot. And the moment you come and close out on me, I'm kicking it in right back to the inside to a Micah, to a Josh, to a Brunson. You know what I mean? Like, so this is why I have Detroit on my last list so low. I don't know where I put them at in this week's Lucky Seven list. We'll see how that breaks down in a little bit. But you know, that game showed a lot. Now, granted, the Spurs is a different animal. Right now, you just need to focus on about getting out of the East, but the East has problems for you as well. If I'm Detroit and JB Bickerstaff and crew, you know, there's no other players coming to the rescue at this point. Yeah, I didn't go and put more shooting around Cade Cunningham. You didn't go get a second option scorer for him to play alongside. And you know, even me personally, I think the highest Detroit can get to in this, based off of matchup situations, if you hold on to that number one seat, is going to be very crucial for you to move on. I think your highest ceiling is the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't see you representing the East. To be honest, I think you get knocked out in the second round, even with your home court advantage, because in the second round, you're talking about you'll be matching up with a New York Knicks or a Philadelphia 76ers or a Boston Celtics, depending on who's sitting where. I just don't see it. Even if you're running through the East right now, you know, my Boston Celtics ran through the New York Knicks all regular season. They did not win one game, and then we get to the playoffs and they just mollywopped us. You know what I mean? So like regular season wins don't mean nothing. You're talking about I'm gonna wave the white flag at some point in the regular season. In the playoffs, I'm not. In the playoffs, I get to just focus on you. I am going to throw White at you. I'm gonna throw JB at you. I'm gonna throw Payne Pritchard at you. I'm gonna just keep throwing bodies at you nonstop at Cade Cunningham, and I'm gonna force the other four players to step up, which I know they're not gonna step up, because even if you're getting twos, I'm gonna bludgeon you to death with threes. And the Cleveland Cavaliers could do the same thing to you. The New York Knicks could do the same thing to you. The Philadelphia 76ers with their backcourt could do the same thing to you. You know, and then we're just talking about the East. You're going to have to play one of those teams to get out of the second round. And even if you make it past that to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, these teams are going to steal one at your house and then take care of home court. So I don't see how Detroit makes it out of the East. Although they are the number one seed, although they're having a great regular season, I think they're I really don't like the term too early to the party, because to be honest, there's really no such thing. You get there when you get there, right? But I just think their roster is a year removed from constructed right. I think this offseason, you see what you're going to need to do. You're going to have to go get Cade Cunningham, a number two guy that could go out there and get the buckets, because Josh Harris is not it. Is his name Josh Harris? What the hell? Harris is not it. I don't know what his first name is. Harris is not it as your number two option. He, at best, maybe could give you half a game in a 4-game series. He's not giving you a full game. That's what I got for the scores rundown. Again, guys, I suck at picking these games. I went 5-8 last week. Overall, I'm 25-43, almost 20 games under 500. I don't even know if I could salvage this thing, but I'm gonna still keep picking them. And I'm going to be that sneaky team that gets into the playoffs. And then we're really going to look at, all right, this is what it's going to be when the playoffs come rolling around. So let's talk about standings right now. Standings wide, number 10 in the East, we got the Charlotte Hornets at 27-31. Sneaky team, guys. Sneaky team. These guys can win that play-in tournament and get in at a 7-8 team and give number one and number two a fritz for their money. At number 9, you got the Atlanta Hawks coming in at 28-31. The Miami Heat is in at 8 at 31-27. The Orlando Magic is in at number 7 at 30-26. The Philadelphia 76ers taking in that last spot in the playoff season outside of the play-in tournament at 32-26. The Toronto Raptors are in at 5 at 34-23. The surging Cleveland Cavaliers are in at number 4 at 36-22. And just one game separation, the New York Knicks are in at number 3 at 37-21. The Boston Celtics are in at number 2 at 37-19. And the Detroit Pistons are in at number 1 of the Eastern Conference at 42-14. Honestly, the way the Celtics are playing, I see them holding on to number 2. The Cavs are surging. I think the Cavs take 4. I think they take 3 from the Knicks, and the Knicks move down. And the Knicks better not move down anymore, because you're talking about, with roughly about 20-ish games left over, 21, 22 games left over, with a good surge and you not being able to be consistent, you do not want to play around and drop down to a 6. Um, yeah. You don't want to come out of you. I would say you need the help of the Garden, but you getting mollywopped inside the Garden, so I don't even know what to make of it. Anyways, moving on to the Western Conference. At the 10th spot in the Western Conference, you got the LA Clippers coming in at 27-30. At number 9, you got the Trailblazers. They're in at 28-30. The Golden State Warriors are in at number 8 at 30-27. The Phoenix Suns are in at 7 at 33-25. The Minnesota Timberwolves are in at 6 at 35-23. The LA Lakers are in at 5 at 34-22. The Denver Nuggets are in at 4, 36-22. The Houston Rockets are in at 3 at 35-21. The San Antonio Spurs are in at 2 at 41-16, 3 games outside of the number 1 team in the Western Conference, Oklahoma City Thunder, at 44-14. That's the one you want to watch, guys. 3 games out, and I think this is a part of the season where the Oklahoma City Thunder, battling injuries, their 2 top guys are going in and out of the lineup. Now, granted, they're a deep-ass team. They could still keep the ship afloat while they're waiting for their two studs to come back. But you don't want to lose that number 1, and now you lose home court to the San Antonio Spurs. That team and home court advantage, you're really looking at yourself where history is going to keep repeating itself, and we're going to have a non-repeat champion for the 8th year in a row. But time will tell what happens with that one. That's your standings for the NBA. Let's jump right into my Lucky 7 rankings. Last week I gave you for my first one, it was number 7, I had the Cleveland Cavaliers. At number 6, I had the Detroit Pistons. Number 5, I had the Denver Nuggets. Number 4, I had the New York Knicks. Number 3, I had the Boston Celtics. Number 2, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And number 1, I had the San Antonio Spurs. And then last week, I had my NBA Finals pick as the San Antonio Spurs and the then New York Knicks. Spoiler alert, it ain't going to be the New York Knicks this week. And I don't even think they're going to crack this list. Not the list. I don't even think they're going to crack that pick again before the season's over, based off of what I'm seeing. So let's go into this week's Lucky 7 top rankings of the NBA. All right. I didn't change that much stuff. Not that many teams really made a case for them to jump into this list and rankings. There was a little bit of a shuffling around, but at number 7 on my Lucky 7's top rankings this week, I'm gonna bring in the Detroit Pistons. Yes, I know they're leading the Eastern Conference. I kind of already touched base on it already. I think once it's time to get into the playoff mode, they're going to struggle a bit. I'm not saying that they're a first round exit. I'm not going to disrespect that team like that. Even with Cleveland Cavaliers doing that to us last year, I don't see that happening again. But based off of what I've seen these past few games, even in the ones that they won, I could see the deficiencies in this team. JB Bickerstaff's going to have to do a whole lot of coaching to make sure that they are not like the Cleveland Cavaliers of last year. But at the same time, it didn't show me enough to say that, hey, this team is better and they should be in my top 7 rankings and not this team. Now, there was one team that I will do an honorable mention after, because I don't want to give it away, but there was one team that I kept going back and forth with, but I need to see a little bit more out of them before I say that they are the top 7 teams of the league. Going into number 6, I'm gonna bring them in. They dropped a little bit on my rankings. It's the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks last week is at number 4. They dropped a little bit. I'm putting them at 6. It's the inconsistency for me with the New York Knicks. I think the New York Knicks is by far one of the top four teams in the East. They should have been the ones leading the East and pulling away with the East to keep the Boston Celtics at bay, especially when you don't know what if Jason Tatum's going to return. But to be completely honest, even if Jason Tatum don't return, this Boston Celtics team is very scary. It's very scary. It's one of those teams where you're not going to want to match up with when you got to go to a 6 or 7 game series. The Boston Celtics is that team where you better punch them in the mouth, punch them in the mouth early, fast, and quick, that they don't have a chance to recover or repeat, and you knock them out of the games. So New York Knicks on paper look like they're a top two team in the East, but they play like they're a top 5, 6 team in the East. And they're just inconsistent. And God forbid an injury happens. And we still know that Cat Williams is an injury prone, not an injury prone problem. He is a foul trouble magnet. And the moment he gets into foul trouble, that destroys the whole Knicks game plan right then and there. You're playing behind. Brunson got to do a whole lot more, and there's only so much hero ball that he has in him when it comes to a 7 game series. So that's why I put the New York Knicks at a number 6 on my list this week. At number 5 on my list this week of the Lucky Seven's top rankings in the NBA, I'm gonna go with the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, to me, it's hard to knock them off of this list because you have arguably one of the best players in the world playing for your team. You a triple double machine. I think the what did it for me with the Denver Nuggets is when they lost Joker for that 2 weeks, and to stay in the 3 hole of the Western Conference said a lot about that team, how they're coached, how they're playing, how the role players step up. That's the type of team that is dangerous when it comes to playoff time. Because if they're doing this, where they don't fall off, they don't play down to their competition, they play up when they need to play up, the role players are stepping in when they need to step in, that's the team that you want to watch out for when you go into the NBA, to the playoffs. So that's why I have the Denver Nuggets in at number 5. At number 4 of my Lucky Seven's top rankings, I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Cavaliers went on a win streak of 7 games before losing to the defending champs Oklahoma City Thunder, in a close one at that. I honestly believe that, yes, I keep beating the drum for my Boston Celtics, Boston Celtics, Boston Celtics, but they are. And I'm saying this about a lot of these teams, but like the Cleveland Cavaliers with James Harden is a different team. And then it's not even the James Harden thing. I know James Harden is the one that's going to get all the headlines, but it's the Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis addition to that team. Your second unit that's going to be coming on the floor, or you could shuffle in a Dennis Schroeder depending on who you're playing and what the matchup is. In a game 3, I'm going to start Dennis Schroeder in this situation where now he's harassing players, picking up players at 90 feet, and he could still give you about 15, 17 points in that game, where like you're stealing a best of 7 series because of those 2 players. Keon Ellis in his defense and could give you some points. Dennis Schroeder with his shooting and giving you a harassing defense. That's why I'm bringing in the Cleveland Cavaliers in at number 4 of the Lucky 7 top rankings. At number 3 of my Lucky 7 top rankings, no movement, no change, it's the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics is a team, to you guys are a surprise team, but to me, I never seen the Boston Celtics outside of a top 6 team. Did I see them as high as a number 2? That one I did not see. Am I surprised? No. I had Jaylen Brown. As long as I have one of those J brothers on my roster, I'm never going to be surprised at what's going to happen. Especially when you talk about the Jaylen Brown, arguably, we'll save that for later. I have the Boston Celtics in as the number 3 team of my Lucky 7 top rankings in the NBA. And the number 2 Lucky 7 top ranking of the NBA team is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City Thunder has not showed me anything where you could say, oh, they slipping. Yes, they lost games, but who cares? The moment the record was out the door, it's like at this point, just play ball, play free, play loose. And then you're talking about their top two guys that have been going in and out of the lineup due to injuries, and yet they still dominating. They're putting out lineups that, you would think they should be underdogs, but they still end up winning. You know what I mean? And it's like that team right there was constructed for the long haul. They were constructed to survive and maintain status quo and a couple of injuries. Did I see them being able to keep the status quo with both their top guys out? That's in a surprise to myself. That's why they're not moving out of that number two slot for me right now, especially when you're talking about the Western Conference. Um, that's why I have the Oklahoma City Thunder in at the number two slot. And the number one slot of the Lucky Sevens NBA top rankings this week goes to the same team that went last week. I think is the most dominant team in the NBA right now. They have the cheat code, they have the players, they have the coaching. It's going to be hard to knock this team out. It's the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs, anchored by Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, they got Castle, they got players all over the place. They got big guards that play defense, they play offense, they playing well off each other. They're moving the ball, they're communicating well when it comes to defense. They're chasing down balls. It's it's going to be hard to see what team and how they're going to scheme, especially when it comes to Wemby, because you're going to have to scheme that one. Because there's no other 7-footer that you're throwing at him. Now, he has a slim frame. Maybe you force him to be in the middle. You work him up a little bit, that he gets tired. But right now, that is the number one team to me in the NBA is the San Antonio Spurs. So with that being said, let's give you a quick recap of this week's Lucky 7 Top NBA Rankings, brought to you by yours truly on Please Excuse My Balls. We have at number 7 the Detroit Pistons. We have at number 6 the New York Knicks. At number 5 we have the Denver Nuggets. At number 4 we got the Cleveland Cavaliers. At number 3 we got the Boston Celtics. At number 2 we have the Oklahoma City Thunder. And at number 1 we have the San Antonio Spurs. So what's that mean, Kev? Who's your picks for the NBA Finals right now? Right now, if I was to say it, based off of matchup, based off of rankings, based off of seeding and who would fall where and who would they play and what that would do, I have right now the San Antonio Spurs are still staying in to represent the Western Conference, but this time I have the Boston Celtics in at representing the Eastern Conference. I think in that two hole, potentially fighting for that number one hole, I think the Boston Celtics, they have the pedigree, they have the talent. They're led by Jaylen Brown and Joe Mazzulla. And again, if you get Jason Tatum at 75, 80%, that is a cheat code unlocked for this team right here. And it gives you that second round. And now let's go play for the Eastern Conference. And then you let the Boston Celtics get into the Eastern Conference Finals game against one of these other teams. I'm gonna put my money on them, especially with a Jason Tatum back. That's what I have for you guys for my top rankings. Let's run into a couple of these games that I'm going to be focusing in this week to see if I can improve my record. From last week, I went 5-8. Like I said, almost 20 games below 500. So let's see what we got. Tuesday, we're gonna go. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers visiting the New York Knicks. With all the rants that I've been going on, and they're playing at the Garden, it's a marquee matchup. I'm assuming the Knicks are going to redeem themselves, but assumptions are for fools. The Knicks have showed me who they are. Give me the Cleveland Cavaliers in that one. Then you got the Celtics at the Phoenix Suns as they get to the last legs of their West Coast trip. I'm going with the Boston Celtics on that one. I think they win over the Phoenix Suns. On Wednesday's games, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder at the Detroit Pistons. Number 1 versus number 1. This could have implications later on down the road for the best record in the league, for a home court advantage when it comes to the NBA Finals, should the Pistons and the Thunder both make it there. In this game right here, Based off of what I seen, even with the injuries happening that the Oklahoma City Thunder are having, I'm still going to pick the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think this league is a copycat league, and we have seen what you need to do to neutralize and slow down the Detroit Pistons. And no better team can do that than this defensive prowess team of Oklahoma City Thunder. So I'm taking the Thunder in that game. Then also on Wednesday, you have the Boston Celtics at the Denver Nuggets. This one's a little tricky for me, right? I want to say the Celtics close out this trip out west, coming back home to another marquee game, but we're talking about a back to back. I haven't been paying attention too much to see if they're resting guys after back to backs, what that situation could be. But we know this could be potentially an NBA Finals matchup, given what the matchups could be and all that stuff. But I just think the way the Celtics are rolling, as much as I want to pick them on this one, and I know I'm probably going to be wrong, I'm going to eat my words. They're going to beat them by like 20 points, but I'm going to take the Nuggets in this one. I think it's a respectable trip if you come back 4-1. 5-0 would be great, but at some point back to back, I think that's a scheduling loss also. Thursday's games, you got the Heat going in and visiting the 76ers. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and pick the 76ers on this one. You guys know how I love that backcourt of Edgecombe and Maxey. Embiid's been out, but I still would like my chances with the 76ers. Then you got the Lakers visiting the Phoenix Suns. On this one, the Suns would have just lost to the Celtics a few days before. I want to go ahead and say the Phoenix Suns, but I'm not. I'm going to take the Lakers in this one. They've had a few days, I believe, in between this one and that last mollywopping that they got against the Celtics. They need to redeem themselves on that one. Last game for Thursday that I'm focusing in on is the Timberwolves at the Los Angeles Clippers. You could go ahead. Nothing to write home about this one. Garland is still not playing. Everything's falling on Kawhi. I can't even name another player on the Clippers team. I'm going with Ant-Man and the Timberwolves to win this one. Going into Friday's games, you got the Cleveland Cavaliers visiting the Detroit Pistons. Go ahead and give me the Cavs on this one. The Nets are coming to town to visit the Celtics. I'm going to take the Celtics in this one. And then you got another marquee game out west on Friday night with the Nuggets versus the Thunder. If there's still injuries happening for the Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm going to take the Nuggets to come in and beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. Saturday games, I only got one for you guys. It's the Lakers versus the Warriors. It's always good to see Braun versus Steph. We don't know how many times we're going to get these matchups anymore. But with that case being said, I'm going to take the Lakers. I just think they have more to throw at the Warriors than the Warriors have to throw at the Lakers. Moving into the Sunday games, got 4 for you guys in this one. The Spurs visiting the Knicks. Again, the Spurs going to the Knicks. You want to say the Knicks will prevail. I don't see that happening. I'm going to take the Spurs in that game. The Timberwolves are visiting the Nuggets. I'm going to go ahead and take the Nuggets in that one. I'm sorry. I'm taking the Wolves in that one because the Nuggets are playing a back-to-back, and they're going to be riding a high after playing the Warriors and winning that game, and they're going to stumble against the Ant-Man and the Wolves. Detroit Pistons versus the Orlando Magic. Go ahead and give me the Pistons in this one. The 76ers at the Boston Celtics. I'm going to take the Celtics in that one. And then Monday's games, it's the Celtics at the Bucks. Not a marquee game. I'm just picking the Celtics game. Go ahead and give me the Celtics on that one. And the Clippers versus the Warriors. Go ahead and give me the Warriors in that game. A couple of NCAA games that are coming up, that are up to take a, couple NCAA games that we want to keep our eye on. Number 21, Miami, Ohio is looking to keep the streak alive over the Eastern Michigan to go 28-0 before closing out the season. Rooting for them. You got the Saint on Wednesday. St. John's visits my Yukon Huskies. On Friday the 27th, number 21 Miami, Ohio plays their last regular season game against Western Michigan to potentially go 29-0. Big marquee matchup. Can number 14 Kansas go ahead and knock out another top 5 team at number 2 Arizona? On Monday, you have number 4 Iowa State at number 2 Arizona. That's all the picks I have for you guys this week. My legacy moment and final word, being that we're about 10 minutes over time right now, I'm going to try to keep it brief and short on this one. All right. Last week I told you guys Joe Mazzulla was making a coach for a play and a push for coach of the year. There's nothing you could do or tell me that this man is not number one or damn near as close as surefire as you could get to being the coach of the year. But tonight I'm not talking about Joe. We all know Joe took a team that everybody left for dead and is now a number 2 seed and could probably stay at number 2 seed going into the NBA playoffs and making a strong playoff push, especially with one of their best players coming back. This is going to be not necessarily a rant, but like open your eyes. I know he plays for Boston Celtics, and you guys do not like the Boston Celtics. I know for some reason or whatever reason it may be, a lot of people don't like Jaylen Brown. But this is not a popularity contest. This is not me being a homer and saying and beating a drum for my guy. Jaylen Brown is the best two-way player in the NBA, hands down, bar none. I don't care who you're talking about. Y'all like to put Kawhi Leonard up there. He's a great one to put up there, but nobody's doing it at the caliber of Jaylen Brown is doing. Jaylen Brown is the best two-way player in the NBA. Jaylen Brown is leading a team that was told this is going to be a gap year, a reset year, a team that lost one of their best players, an all-pro best player 4 years in a row on top of that, is out for what could be the entirety of the season. You lost 4 out of your top 6 players from the year before. You're dealing with a team where you're integrating a bunch of new players and developing rookies and second-year players. And by the way, all you're doing is becoming the second-best team in the East. If Jaylen Brown is not bare minimum first-team All-Pro and a top 3, if not winning the NBA MVP, then you know however we're doing this voting system stuff, it needs to be revamped and retailored. Because there's no way you could tell me that Jaylen Brown is not playing at MVP form. Because then when I look at an article where they're doing an NBA MVP straw poll, they have SGA at number 1 with 78 first place votes. The Joker at number 2 at 18 first place votes. Cade Cunningham, who is leading the East, only gets 1 first place vote. Yes, SGA, his team is the number 1 team in the West, and they're steamrolling through a bunch of teams or whatever the case may be. But you have Joker on here, number 3 or 4 in the West. That's fine, whatever the case may be. And we know how valuable those 2 guys are to their team. Cool. But Cade Cunningham, 1 vote. Wemby, the cheat code, only gets 3 first-place votes. Luka makes it on this list, no first-place votes. But Jaylen Brown does not get no first-place votes, no second-place votes, only 5 third-place votes, 12 fourth-place votes, and 26 5th-place votes. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now? Where you're telling me this whole time, it's all about Jason Tatum, all about Jason Tatum, all about Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum's out. You guys lose all these players. You guys are in a gap year. Why don't you guys hit the reset button so you're not in financial ruins and repeater taxes and all that? And Brad Stevens goes out there and does everything that he's supposed to do. And, oh, by the way, Joe Mazzulla is coaching his ass off. And it's all led by Jaylen Brown and his leadership and his play on the court. The man is averaging just shy under 30 points. He's playing, and the stuff that matters the most is what he's doing on the other side of the ball. He's picking up and playing their best player at 90 feet or doing and switching off. I just don't understand it. I know you guys don't like Boston guys. I know you guys change the rules whenever it comes to people out here in Boston, but come on. No first, no second place votes, only 5 third place votes for MVP. Who are these people? Who are you people? SGA and Joker are playing on the same teams that they've been playing on. Nobody had them left for dead. Cade Cunningham is a surprise. I would have gave him a couple more first place votes. Wemby is like, come on, you beating the best team in the defending champions 4 out of 5 times in a season. That deserves more first place votes. How is Luka even on this list? I don't even know. Like, the Lakers are a mid-tier team. Jaylen Brown is first team All-Pro. Jaylen Brown is first team All-Defense. Jaylen Brown is an MVP candidate. I'm not saying that he has to win it. I see a case for Cade Cunningham. I see a case for Victor Wembanyama. But I also see a major case for Jaylen Brown. Those are your top 3 candidates when it comes to the MVP race. I don't want to hear about SGA with the most dominant team where you could take him off the court and they're still winning. They're still winning. Joker, you take him off the court, they're still winning. Cade Cunningham, we just saw that if you limit Cade Cunningham, Detroit Pistons are not the same. Bing, 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 bing. That's the most valuable player. Wemby is the cheat code, but at the same time, if I take Wemby off of that court, they could still withstand and keep winning games. Luka, you're a mid-tier team. I don't even know why you're on this list. It's the popularity contest. We love Luka. I get it. That's great. But Luka don't play defense. At least these other guys, minus the Joker, they're playing defense. But the guy that's the best two-way player on the team that you said is not going to be good, they need to just worry about next year. That's what you said about the Boston Celtics, and they're the number 2 seed. I'm gonna end that conversation right there. My opinion, Jaylen Brown. I don't have a vote. I don't even have a regional vote. Just know Boston and those that understand basketball. One of the greatest minds in basketball that's still playing right now, LeBron James, knows and sees what you are and who you are. They don't want to give you your accolades for, I'm not going to say whatever reason it may be. We know what the reasonings are. They don't like you for whatever reason it is because you keep stepping outside of their boxes, but who cares? Break down all their fucking boxes. You're motherfucking Jaylen Brown. You're that motherfucking dude. And when your brother Jason Tatum comes back, y'all only going to get more scarier, and they don't like it. That's why they keep pinning you guys against each other. You're a most valuable player of the NBA this year. You're first team All-Pro and first team All-Defense. Point blank, period. Done. If you like what you heard, go ahead and subscribe to Please Excuse My Balls. Like the episode, follow us on social media, and tell me where I went wrong. I didn't go wrong, but if you want to, let me know about it. Till then, go debate yourself. I said what I said and I meant it. Till next time, peace.